Hey guys, I'm here with.
Tom from Stack Soda.
All right, we just had a great conversation of how Tom started in the industry and how he built up his business and has multiple locations now, and just had a great conversation. So you guys should have a listen. So we always start off these conversations with basically, when did you start working? How old were you? High school. Take it back to maybe
God.
like 9th, 10th grade. High school.
10th grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going way back.
We're going way back. I can't remember back then.
Did you work in a mechanic shop? Did you?
Oh, man. So going way back, my brother owned a repair shop. Mm-hmm. So my dad...
Locally?
No, in Syosset.
In Syosset, okay.
In Syosset. And, my dad died when I was very young, so I always looked up to my older brother. Mm-hmm. And since he owned the repair shop, I would always hang out with him, because I looked up to him as a dad.
How much older than you?
He is probably 20 years older than me.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, well, actually, no, maybe less. It could be like 17.
17.
Yeah, I got to do the math on that.
You should probably know 17. That.
I should know that. I just know when his birthday is. That's it. So, yeah, I used to hang out with him at the shop and stuff like that. And, it was, I got really interested in it.
Yeah.
It was cool. And so during high school, I was always playing around with like dirt bikes and mini bikes and go-karts.
Right.
So that's how I got interested into auto repairs. And it was very cool. And I got a job at a local gas station where I grew up in Brentwood. Mm-hmm. And so after school, I would ride my mini bike down there or my go-kart or whatever, go, with the cops that all knew you and they waved to you, and I'd go to work, and then I would pump gas, and he would let me work on some of the mail Jeeps he worked on.
Oh, cool.
And I would just work for free. And, it was just to learn.
Just to learn.
Yeah, and it was cool. So that's how I really got started, with auto repairs. And then every weekend I go hang out with my brother, and then when school was out in the summer, mm-hmm. I go work in his shop, and he would teach me. And then, I went to BOCES.
Right.
And
so basically in high school you were working after school?
After school, whenever I could, weekends, after school, mm-hmm. Any free moment I was working. Right. And so then I decided to go to BOCES, and then BOCES didn't last for me that long because I was already ahead of the game. I knew a lot, from everybody teaching. It started off very, very young. Yeah. And so I knew a lot, so BOCES really didn't work for me very well. I was I hate to say I was excelling in automotive, but I really was. I don't want to be too...
Now, did they have multiple classes for automotive? Is it like Automotive 1, Automotive 2, Automotive 3?
Back then, it was just basically automotive. Okay. Yeah, so... And then I just basically, from there, I just worked in a shop, and, fast forward a few, years later, I got a really... Well, fast forward to where I really knew I wanted to be a business owner, and that was around when I was like... 19, 20 years old. I was working for a guy in Deer Park, this guy George, mm-hmm. and it was Gabriel Tire on Acorn Street. Okay. And I got a job there, and I was a mechanic, and I was doing really good, and he moved me up to do a little service writing and sell jobs, mm-hmm. and I always idolized him, and I was like, wow, one day I want to mm-hmm. Be like him, own a business, right. And he does so well, and he had multiple businesses at the time. And so I stayed there for a very long time. I stayed there for about 14, 15 years. I worked there. And I was supposed to...
So basically you're in your 30s.
By that time I was like I was probably... When I left there I was about like 31.
31, okay.
Yeah, about 31.
Okay.
And, I really, was set on opening my own shop. Mm-hmm. But I was going to buy... his shop out because he was looking by that time to retire.
Well, you were becoming like his protege, right?
Yeah, he was building me up, so it was really cool how he took me under his wing, showed me a lot of stuff, showed me, behind the scenes, like more of the...
Business running of it?
Yeah, the admin stuff, the business things, and, but what he showed me still didn't bring me up to really what it's cracked up to be.
What you're going to learn when it's fully on your own.
Holy cow. It's a different animal. Yeah. It's very, very difficult. So, fixing cars is easy. Dealing with clients, customers, that's another thing. And then the behind the scenes of running and operating a business successfully is even something else.
We have that conversation all the time because would you rather be like the best mechanic, or would you rather be more well-rounded? Like maybe not the best mechanic, but a great mechanic.
Right.
Maybe not the best guy on the phone, but a good guy on the phone. And maybe not the best guy that, does the paperwork, but good at it. And then you could run a business. And to a certain point, and then you get people that are smarter than you, obviously, to do things you're not as good at. Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree. Like owning a business is not for everybody.
Right.
But maybe becoming a mechanic, is not for everybody. There's certain things for everybody. And, I got guys that work for me that would never want to own a business and never want to write service or deal with a customer. Or I got guys that don't want to turn a wrench that are very good with service. So you got to find your niche and you got to find your place in that, business and run with it.
So where would you say you were obviously a good mechanic? You were good at talking to people. Is that where you figured that I can do this?
Yeah, I just knew I didn't want to work for anybody anymore, and I wanted to do something on my own, and I set goals for myself to get to that in my life. I still love fixing a car. Right. I mean, I don't think that's ever going to leave my blood. Dealing with people, I like it. I like having conversations. Problem solving. I don't like to tell people bad news, of course, and when their car's broken, it's bad news. Yeah. So you hate that part of it. Right. Running the business is definitely, it's fun. It's exciting. It takes a lot. Yeah. Different challenges every day. So do I love that part of it? Yes, I do. I think I love every part in a different way. But I love this business. Like I've never woke up a day in my life and wished I wasn't in this business or didn't want to go to work.
Well, the more people I speak to, and I'm sure you can attest to this, is every business is almost the same, just different widgets, right?
I agree.
You're a mechanic. Yeah. I'm technically a technician, but you're still running a business. So you're still dealing with admin. You're still dealing with customers. You're still dealing with giving people bad news sometimes. Dealing with people, giving them good news sometimes, which is better.
Right.
You're the psychologist for your employees, right? You're the bank for your employees. You're, you become uncles and whatever else to your, employees' kids, and that's how
as a business owner, you wear many hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to change those hats by the minute sometimes.
Yes.
Now
let me ask you. You said your boss was basically you were his protege, and he sounds to me like a good boss. Did you end up taking over that? Is that how you started, or
no?
He guided you? Because like you said, you didn't want to work for anybody, but you seem like you had a good boss. Was there a reason why? Is it that you were capping out? Is it?
So the story with that is that I was supposed to buy him out. We came up with some kind of agreement on money wise, and I didn't know any better. And I said, and he even advised me to bring some professionals in to see if it was worth what he was asking the business.
Right.
And I brought some people in, and they kind of said, no, it's really not worth it.
How many guys did he have working there at the time?
At the time, there was, I want to say around 14 people.
14. Now,
14
not to
people.
Get off, well, it's the same topic, but I don't want to get you off track. Because we had 16 kids here yesterday from West Babylon High School. We had similar. Every time I meet with them, we have similar conversations to what circles around this. So when you got in that and you started working at that company, you were obviously the bottom guy.
100% the bottom guy.
How quickly did you, move up the ladder and surpass people?
I want to say probably within a year.
So your boss at that time saw you and knew right away that you were going to surpass guys that he maybe have there for 10, 15 years working for him.
Yes.
You knew right away. We had this exact conversation yesterday.
Yeah, he knew right away. I was, at a young age when I started with him, I was dedicated to this business. Right. I was dedicated to auto repairs. I loved it.
You put the extra time in.
Yeah, going back to where I was like 10 years old, I was fixing things around the house. I
Right.
was, going with my brother and, pulling engines apart, and I just
Right.
loved it.
Right.
Instead of playing with toys, and, I still did a couple of sports, but instead of, hanging out with my friends and doing that, I was kind of, getting into, engines and, pulling cars apart and,
Right.
working on it, and I loved it.
Yeah. Well, back to that, what I explained to them, and you'll, like I said, you'll most likely agree with this, is that business owners nowadays, because of the lack of those kind of people, like you, a younger version of you, younger version of me, they're more easy to see. It's not like a blade of grass and a whole big blade of grass. It's like a diamond in a blade of grass, right?
Correct.
So they're easy
Now
to
it
see.
is.
So I tell them that if you're going to go get a job now and you're going to do the bare bones minimum and just show up, you're not going to get noticed. But if you go to your job and you're respectful, you say please and you say thank you, show up on time, you do your job, you do not just your job, but you do above and beyond, you will get noticed and you will move up the ladder. It doesn't matter if you're there 6 months, a year, wherever. And now more than ever is the opportunity to have that. And their eyes light up. And so it makes perfect sense.
Yes, I agree with that. If you're young and you're respectful to your boss and everybody that's working there, and you put the hard work in and the time, you're going to move up fast.
Yeah.
Especially in
Now more than ever.
today's
Yeah.
day of age. I mean, where there's a lot less young people coming into professions like auto repair, boilers and electricians and plumbers and everything.
Yeah.
So you will shine.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I feel that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I have a guy that we hired a few weeks ago, and I think he's in his late 20s, and he was always interested in it. He made a career change. And I'll tell you, it's amazing.
What was he doing before? If you mind me asking.
I
Was
don't
it anything related to
I
cars?
it
Or
wasn't
working-
related to
working
cars.
with your hands?
I don't remember what he was doing, but he said he was always interested in cars.
Okay.
And like his uncle worked on a car, and he would always help him out. So he just took a career change and came to me for a job. He saw an ad I posted.
Right.
And it was for a job requirement, 5 years minimum, experience. And he still came in.
Right.
And that says a lot too, I mean, not knowing and coming into a job interview that you needed 5 years experience.
Yeah.
And, he was hoping to get somebody's attention. He got my attention, and now he's been working with for me a few weeks, and he's catching on very, very well.
Which is another perfect example of what I said yesterday, Jeff, to these kids, because they were saying, how do you put yourself in an opportunity? How do you get these opportunities come across? You put yourself in the position to have an opportunity. So he did that. He didn't have 5 years experience. He came,
Right.
talked to you anyway, and took a shot.
I use a word, and I use it all the time, and the word is action. If you don't take action in anything, you just will not get anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. You just got to use that word action, and you have to do it to get anywhere in life. I don't care what kind of situation you're in. You must use action, and people that do will get far in life. I'd be honest with you; they'll get far.
Yeah. What's the worst that can happen? Someone say no?
Right.
Well, thank you for the time. Have a
Yeah,
good day. See
that's
you later.
it.
Yeah. On to the next.
Yeah. On
Yeah.
to the next one.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
You can't be afraid.
No.
I think these days kids are too far into the social media with their head down, and they got to get their head out of that.
Right.
And just go out there and bang on doors.
Yeah.
And make stuff happen for themselves.
Well, you know what? I agree with that 100%, but I also, I'll tell you an example. There's this one kid, Jake, he's in West Babylon High School. He's already got a job with me in June when he graduates.
Okay.
So it's funny because his mother used to be my student teacher, unbeknownst to me. It was after the third time talking to him, I figured it out. But I would go to the school and I talk to the kids, and I must have talked to, I don't know, say 150, 200 kids out of the times I've been there. He wasn't in any of those classes. His girlfriend told him about what we're doing and what I, talked about. He took the time to reach out to me on Instagram. Wrote this whole long thing of how this is what I'm into, everything my girlfriend told me, hit every point of what I'm trying to do. And he came work here on I think it was Thanksgiving weekend he worked.
Right.
Christmas week he worked, and whatever days off during the week he comes and works for us, and he's got a job in June, all because he took a shot.
Right. Well,
You know, so
Okay, so
it
social
does-
media in that way, yes, and I agree with that.
Yes.
I think I was saying it too broadly, but
Yeah.
like you see kids these days, like so you go out to dinner.
I agree with you.
Let's say you go out to dinner,
Yes.
and you sit in a restaurant and you see a nice family there.
They're all on the
And-
cell phone. Yeah.
That's not.
Well,
Like put it down, talk.
That's the-
that's
yeah.
where I say social media is great
Yes.
in many ways.
If you use it to
especially
your
for the young
advantage.
people,
Yes, yes.
they can check out a, opportunity, of a place they might want to check out to work.
Mm-hmm.
And with social media, you could see the good places and the bad places.
Right.
I think that's great for the young people.
Yeah.
Because not every repair shop is the place to go work.
Right.
There's bad ones, there's good ones, and there's bad and good in every business.
Right.
So at your fingertips, you have that information, so you can make a good choice on whose door you should knock on.
Right.
So I do like that in that way.
And it's our job to make people aware of the opportunities that we could provide as business
I
owners.
agree.
Yeah,
I
which
agree.
we're working on
Yes,
with
we
the
are.
charity.
I
So
mean,
it's
yeah,
gonna be good. Yeah.
yeah, I like that. I mean, it's it's good for these young people to get into, a profession that they can make a good living.
Yeah.
A great living,
And have opportunity to move up.
a lot of opportunity.
Now back to your story. So that whole thing, I guess you didn't make an agreement with the guy that you were his protege.
So
take it from there. I keep
Yeah,
jumping around,
I didn't
sorry.
make an agreement with George, and I had to move on.
Mm-hmm.
And I set a goal for myself at 30 years old to own
Did you
the
keep a
business.
relationship with him, or kind of went south?
It went south for the first year
But then,
for both of us.
The
I think we
smoke
were
cleared.
both mad at each other and
Right.
stuff like that. And I left there,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew of another repair shop that was being sold.
Okay.
And I went, I checked into it, and I purchased it.
right,
And it turned out to be, a great thing for me and a great thing for the other guy, George, that I work for at
Right.
Gabriel. He wound up selling it for more money. He got a lot more.
right.
And it worked out well. So
Now, when you got, not to cut you off again,
no,
sorry.
go ahead.
Because these important points here that I want to stress. You took a risk, right?
I took a big risk.
Took an action.
An action.
took an
yes.
action,
Yeah,
yeah,
you took
and
an action. You bought a place. Now, did you have the money to buy it outright, or you had to get a loan?
So I had to get a loan.
Yeah.
I had to get a loan.
Which is the case for almost every situation.
Yes, it
Yes.
was hard. Can we curse?
You could say whatever you want.
I put-
we have a bleep button, right,
Okay.
Jeff?
Yeah.
Bleep?
I put my balls on the chopping block.
That's the best way to put it. I like it.
That's what I did.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was very scary.
Yes.
And I, at the time, how I did it was I had to come up with the money. I'm trying to remember. Oh, okay. So my mother-in-law had her house paid off, and we refinanced out her house, and I had money. So I paid that mortgage, and I had the money I used, and I bought this business outright.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's why I said I put my balls on the chopping block.
Yeah, because your mother-in-law would have kicked your ass.
Oh, she would have kicked my ass.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And what a great woman for doing that
Yeah.
for her son-in-law. I mean,
Listen.
amazing woman.
Every story of every person I talk to has had some sort of opportunity where someone has leaned down and helped them.
Yes.
So, including myself
Right.
in a lot of many ways. I mean, you need that, And
Right. And I think that's, as us as business owners, we look at it now,
We can do
later,
that.
we do, later down the road, when we build something, and now we could pass these opportunities on to others.
Right.
Which I love.
We're just begging for someone to say, "I want the opportunity." That's
Yes.
But like I said,
Yes.
we're changing that. So
Yes.
So now, you buy the place, you take the loan from your mother-in-law.
And we blow up immediately.
Really?
Like just blow this place up.
Now,
Just-
did you have a reputation in the town already?
I had
Did
a
you-
reputation
friends?
in the town in Deer Park.
Right. But did you have a relationship with like tow truck companies or
Yeah,
different?
tow truck companies, junkyards, auto parts stores, and
Yeah.
they all sent me work to try to
Yeah.
get me going.
Hey, go see Tom.
Yeah, go see me and down there, and I built it up, and it was amazing. So we were going strong for the first. What was it? I'm trying to remember. Year and a half, and and at the time, of course, you're paying rent. I took over that guy's lease agreement.
Right. So
And
you're
the
paying
lease,
rent. You're paying the lease.
I'm leasing the building, and
you're
I'm paying
paying the
the rent
business
to the
loan.
landlord. And the landlord sends me a letter in the mail. It's called first right of refusal.
Oh,
Like I said, I knew
what
about
that means.
working on cars. I knew about selling the jobs and doing all that stuff, but I didn't know about, first right of refusals and, what that meant to me. And so I call him up and he said, hey, we're selling the property. And if you don't buy it now, somebody else is actually buying it and they want to flip it into a gas station. So you'll be out. And I'm there a year and a half.
And things are going good.
Things are going good. So I kind of,
I put
stresses of business.
We put a post on that, Jeff, like 2 weeks ago. I said business is very much like you work hard, things are going really good.
Really great.
Kicking the nuts.
Yeah.
Kicking the nuts, and then you regroup, and then you go from there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I do, I had to call my brother up. I said, hey, Frank, I need a down payment for this building. And I said, without this, I said, I'm going to be out on the street. I got a mortgage to pay for my mother-in-law's house. I got, bills
stretched.
piling up. I'm stretched out. So
Did the business owner agree that he would hold the mortgage, or you had to get it?
that was the greatest thing. This gentleman that owned the building actually is really very good friends with me right now. We're really close friends, and he held a mortgage.
Awesome.
And he just needed a mere $100,000 down. That's all. No big deal.
Yeah.
Drop in a bucket. Yeah. So my brother Frank really, he loaned me the money, and then I had that payment, and my mother-in-law's house payment, and the bills, and my mortgage that I have a house, and it was crazy. But
I think it's important too,
Yeah.
because consumers watch this. So you have the original money that you had for buying the business.
Correct.
You had the money to pay back your brother or brother-in-law, right?
Yep, my brother.
Your
Right.
brother to put a down payment on a building.
Right.
Now you have the mortgage through the building owner you got to pay.
Correct, the building.
All the electric, the gas, everything. So you have all that money to pay before you even take a profit out of the company.
Correct.
So
it's basically being underwater with a straw, and that straw sometimes goes under the water, and you suck the water in, and you can't breathe.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, one day you get that straw above the water, you're like, I can take a breath, and then all of a sudden, a big wave comes and fills up that straw, and you're not breathing again.
It's so important for people to hear that.
Yeah, best way to describe the situation that I was in. But again, we fast forward years down the road, we did well. We paid everything back, and it all worked out.
Now, when was
Thank God.
Because you own multiple locations.
I do.
Yeah. So when was the decision? Once you were comfortable enough, maybe that straw wasn't a straw anymore. Maybe your head was above water. Maybe up to here.
Well,
And
as you know,
Yeah.
as business owners, we always make the right choices.
Yeah. Right.
Right. And we always listen to our wives, right? Always. Because the wives,
if you're a smart man, you
listen, we're on camera right
Yeah, but
now.
not
I will
in
never
business.
say my wife is always right.
But in business,
my wife's always right.
Right,
you know?
right, yeah. But in business, in anything outside the business, 100%. But with the business, only you know your business.
You do, but when your wife says don't do this, you shouldn't do this, and you do it anyway, and go open up another shop that you're not ready for.
Yeah.
And that straw is maybe an inch above the water,
Yeah.
and you say, hey, I'm going to open up another location. And your wife says, no, don't do it. You're not ready. And you don't listen and you do it. That straw is back underwater quick.
I think a lot of people, I've been in that situation, not with my wife, but even with family, where it's like, don't buy another truck.
Right.
What are you, crazy?
Yeah,
don't
wait.
do this, don't do that. But you have to listen to yourself. And if yourself is saying, I want to take that risk, and I'm going to refuse to let it beat me, I'm going to, conquer it, that's important.
Right, and I agree with
take
that.
the risk.
You just take a risk.
Because now how many locations do you have?
We have two. We were up to three. We sold one off, and we have two.
But
it's, again, I'm still looking for more locations.
right.
So we're able to.
Still looking to expand.
I've learned a lot over my years in this business. So, which is, knowledge is everything.
Yes. And surround yourself with the right people, like Frank, my marketing guy.
oh.
He gives everything an early, quick death. So if I have an idea, I have a million ideas every day. I'll text him at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Frank, what do you think? And he answers because he's up. I know he's
Right.
up late. So, and I'll say, and he'll just be like, no.
No.
Like, I listen to him with that stuff because that's his thing. So, like, you know, he
Right.
gives things a quick death rather than
Right.
a slow, painful death. But so that is
Right.
the
Putting
point.
key people around you, and oh my God, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I just give the outsider perspective. I'm the customer. How I'm gonna perceive it, versus your thoughts only because you're in it.
Right.
So when you have those processes and those thoughts, I'm the person that doesn't understand what you're saying. So then you just change it and dumb it down for people like me, and then I'm like, go with it. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's awesome. We just have to tweak.
Yeah. But that's another thing, like in business, like at least for my sake, like I have conversations. We have a group text between Jeff and Frank all day long, every day.
Right.
There's a million conversations and time taken out of our days to figure out how we're bobbing and weaving and whatever else. And, you
Yeah.
know, we throw so much stuff up against the wall that hopefully something sticks. But, you know,
Right.
that's important too. You do the same thing with your marketing, I'm sure.
Yeah, we do. We
Yeah.
do. I mean, but over the years, I know what works. I know what doesn't work, and
But it's
we
constantly
stick with it.
changing, right? That's
Oh,
constantly
if
changing.
you're not changing, I mean, in today's world, if you're not changing, you're just gonna
Die.
eventually you're gonna
Dying.
be out of business.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that's what it comes down to.
You know, Ryan Rosenberg.
Yeah.
The greatest concept is who moved my cheese. If you're not changing, then you're just going to be left alone. Your cheese is gone, but the person who moved, you have to follow the path.
Find your cheese
Right.
Yes,
without being a rat.
without being a rat. Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's amazing how those rats survive out there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You know, like with I always use the example, and it was probably I don't know if it's similar in the mechanic world, but in the heating and air conditioning world, you know, things got real tight. You know, 2008, 2009. I didn't feel as much because my business was young. I started in 06, so I was constantly building even through the hard years. From
Right.
what people tell me, I don't. You know, it was only me at that time, but what I noticed is right before Hurricane Sandy, there was a big squeeze for a lot of companies that maybe weren't the
Yes.
best companies out there. And then something happens like Hurricane Sandy, and then all those questionable companies that you were just mentioning, they get right back another breath of life and then go from
Yeah.
there. So it's,
Yeah.
you know, something always happens to get those guys back in.
Right.
You know, it's short-lived
Right.
until the next big thing, but they always manage.
It's funny you mentioned Hurricane Sandy. I mean, my house had 3.5 feet of water in it.
Wow.
So it was crazy, and I went through that with some of the contractors that came in and
Yeah.
took advantage.
Because everybody
Right.
was a contractor.
Right,
then.
and I was
everybody was a heating mechanic.
and I was in a fog.
Yeah.
You know, because your house is ruined. You know, everything in your house is ruined, and it's crazy. And I had a business to operate, and you know, I just thought, what can I do? And we started fixing like generators and stuff like that for free.
Yeah.
Like anybody that had a generator that needed it repaired and was a run, we would just fix them for free because we were trying to give back
Right, the community.
to the whole community and help out the best we could.
So now with Hurricane Sandy, you know, people, like I said, those questionable people,
Yeah.
I know vividly. There was a street in Lindenhurst. I want to say it was Orchard Drive. I did a couple of boilers in that block, and the same exact job I was doing. Now, mind you, it was me and two guys at the time, and I had some overhead. You know, obviously payroll.
Of course.
I was 6,000. The same exact job across the street for another company. I won't mention the name. 12,000, because they could. Because at that time you could have named your price for whatever it was, and
Yeah.
everybody marked it up. Not everybody marked it up double, but everyone marked it up. And like, there's a slippery slope there because should I have marked it up more than the regular? I probably should have, because the stress and aggravation that I went through, because at that time couldn't get equipment, didn't know when equipment was coming in. You know, it was just a real hard time. But I didn't. But we made a reputation for ourselves right then and there. And that's kind of how I think we helped catapult a little bit.
And I think
So.
that's a key word, reputation. I mean, you have to have a great reputation in business.
Yeah.
And it's only built over time.
Yeah.
It's never built in a day. It's built over time. So as a business owner, if you're constantly doing the right thing, like you did, reputation is going to be built.
Well, I'm sure you fixing the generators, that helped out a lot.
It did. And it also makes you feel good to
Right.
give back to the community.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that, you know, I do that I give back to the community that I don't make it known. You know, it's just because, you know, not everybody has to know what you do.
Right.
You know, as long as you feel good in your heart that you're giving back,
Yeah.
that's all that counts.
Now, where are your two locations? You got North Babylon location.
I have the North Babylon location, and then I have a Deer Park location. So
So they're pretty close
they're
proximity.
2 miles away from one another.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're close. And my other location used to be on Little East Neck Road.
Right.
So we try to stay in the Babylon area, you know. And again, Babylon's a great place for a business,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, and you get a lot of support from, you know, guys like Rich Schaefer and
They're,
you know,
they're-
community leaders and
Yeah, all our community leaders are just amazing people.
Yeah.
You know, Terry McSweeney, Rich. I mean, they're amazing people.
yeah, help you out when you need.
They help you out tremendously.
Yeah.
You know, and it's great to have that support behind all the businesses in Babylon.
Yeah, just guidance wise.
Yes, 100%.
Because once again, they know things. They're more versed in things that we're not. And when we go to them with a question or a problem, it's something we could think was impossible. They, oh no, this happens all the time.
Yeah.
You know? So it's
Yeah,
good. It's important.
definitely.
Yeah. And I tell the kids in school now they should reach out to their community leaders already, because you know
Right.
even the town, you know, the town has job opportunities.
Correct.
You know, they're even looking for people. So
Right.
it's like, you know, I hope the kids are listening. You know, because you know every summer or after work or after school.
Yeah, you can work in the pools. I know one of my guys, his daughter works in the pools because of Rich.
Yeah.
You know, Rich was like, "Oh, we need people to work in the pools," and
Yeah.
you know, there's people needed in the town to work you know, in every part of the town and all the jobs.
Right.
You know,
So
even
let-
though that didn't make sense that I just said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, where do you see your company, Stax Auto, in the next 5, and then in the next 10, and the next 15 years?
That's a good question.
Do you see yourself relinquishing some of the reins to some of your proteges? Do you know,
I see.
give the same opportunity that you were kind of given, but
Yes.
make a better deal where they'll
100%.
benefit from it as well?
The best deal you ever can make is when both parties benefit from it.
Yes.
So yes, I'm gonna definitely, you know, give away not give away, but you know, sell part of the business to key people or have them buy me out. But I also see down the road, you know, within the next 2 to 5 years, more locations, and then probably in the next 10 years, me stepping back.
Right.
You know,
Right.
a little bit more.
Okay.
You know.
But having the right people in place.
Yes, which I already do,
Yeah.
and I've learned that over the years that you need the right people,
Right.
and sometimes the right people is not yourself, even though as a business owner it's hard,
Yeah.
as you all know, to give up a job.
Yes.
It's one of the most difficult things in business to do.
To give
as
up
an
your
owner.
job in
To
the
give up
business.
your job. Yes.
Well, now you're trusting someone else that may not do it the same way you do it, may not do it in the same time that you do it, or
Correct.
having that same outcome. But at the end of the day, when all the dust settles, it is the same.
Right.
And then you could tweak it.
And it's almost like a proud dad moment.
Yeah.
You know, when they do the job better than you ever did it, and you look back and you go, "Wow, that's."
And people would think
that's
you'd
great.
be angry about that. I'm
No.
never angry about that. I'm
No.
impressed and happy because hey, do it better than me. I'm
Right.
going to focus on something else that's going to help us over here.
Correct.
So you got that? Good, great. I'm going to go over here now and hopefully
Yeah.
drive some more business this way so you could do more of that.
And that's where I am right now in my career, is that I have so many good key people in that I could step away, and I could do different things and bring the business to, you know, get the business to grow in different ways,
That's good.
which is nice.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you another question. So now you had 3 locations, you have 2, now you have the 2 locations. If you had the opportunity to buy a 3rd and 4th location, but you had to mortgage your own house and take a huge risk, do you still take it at your stage?
Yes, I would, but I wouldn't tell my wife.
All right, that's perfect.
No, I would. You know,
That never goes away.
that never goes away. You have to take a risk.
Yeah,
I mean, business is a risk. That's what it all is.
right.
So you have to take it. But, you know, when you've been doing it for a long period of time, you have a formula that works. It's easy to repeat it.
Right.
So
With the
that's
right people.
with the right people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Genius.
Which is getting harder to find, but they're out there.
But we're going to change that.
It's
I
coming.
just tell myself every day
It's
that
coming
we're going
soon.
to change that. It's going to happen.
It's gonna
happen. I talk
it will
about it every
happen.
day. Yep.
Positive mindset.
Yep.
It has
and
to be.
And it will. Like
It
I
will.
said, the kids that were here yesterday, like I wish you could have seen them. Like they all have bright futures. I already know it.
That's
know?
awesome.
Yeah.
And
So,
I love that.
One kid came up to me and even said, because I tell him, I said, respect goes a long way. Please and thank you goes a long way. He goes, I really thought about what you said with, saying please and thank you. And I started doing it. And I started to notice that people reacted to me differently. And I said, you see how easy, something that little, you say please, you say thank you, and people react to you a different way.
Yep.
And it's,
It's very true.
Yeah.
It's very true. Like I've always had a pet peeve of when you're talking to somebody to look at them and make eye contact.
Yeah.
And my kids, when they talk to you, it's almost too much eye contact. They're like staring at you, like all right, guys.
Not staring contest,
Like
yeah.
it's not, yeah.
Yeah.
But
just glance
you
away
know,
every now and then.
Yeah, it's nice to see that in kids, you
Yes.
know, and the please and the thank yous, and it's nice also when you're walking into somewhere, you see a young guy hold the door for you, a young girl, whatever, somebody young hold the door.
Yeah.
It's really nice to see.
Yeah. They came in, they all shook my hand. Everyone I introduced them to, they shook their hand.
Right.
We went across the street to FW Webb, shook their hands. They got lunch, we gave them lunch, they
Right.
sat down. Thank you, please, thank you. It was just a great day, so
it's awesome.
I'm sorry on that high right now because it's like 24 hours ago. So
Oh, okay.
it's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's great to hear that kids are acting like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.